Hey guys, my name is Nora Hall and I'm so happy you're joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how to make macrame plant hangers. I'm going to show you 3 easy ways to make macrame to decorate your home. Hi, and welcome back. So now I'm going to teach you how to make some awesome macrame plant hangers. For our macrame project today, you really only need a few simple items. You need macrame string, scissors, measuring tape, screw hooks, and wooden rings. So first off, I just wanted to show a little bit of some plants that I am loving. These are my 2 pothos. I have my neon pothos and my regular pothos. Some people call it devil's ivy. And so what we're going to do today is create some propagated plant babies. So these are my mama plants. And essentially what a lot of people don't know is that you can actually create a lot of other little plants by taking cuttings from your big plant. So today I'm going to be taking some cuttings and I'm going to be putting them in my mason jar and creating an awesome little plant hanger with my macrame. So let's get started. So first off, I am going to take some cuttings from my pothos. So if you do have a plant like this and you are taking cuttings, just be careful that leaves are very delicate. Make sure you cut underneath the nodes. So see how you have little nodes here? You definitely want to make sure to cut underneath the nodes because that is where the roots are going to come out. So I'm going to take a cutting here, making sure it's long enough to go in my mason jar. Try to cut at an angle, and then I'm just going to put it in here. Looks beautiful. That was a big one, so I'm just going to cut a couple more. This is a big plant. I've had this for a few years, and it is a little out of control, but I love it. I'm going to cut here, and then take this off. So the nodes here are actually where the roots come out. And then just stick it in here. All right, that looks great. So here we have our little pothos cutting, and now I'm going to get right into the macrame hanger part. So this one is super, super simple. It literally takes a minute. It is called the barrel sling. So what you're gonna do is take your macrame string or hemp or any type of yarn or string that you have and make a continuous cord about 6 feet long. So what I did was I measured out 6 feet, I made a really tight knot, nice and tight, and then I'm going to show you how to do the barrel sling. So lay it out here, nice and flat, and then I'm gonna create the loop and the heart first to show you like that. And then put the mason jar here. Then take the pointy part of the heart, thread it underneath this loop, and then bring this whole thing over. It may take you a couple times, but honestly, just be patient. It is really fun and simple. Okay, so now we have basically a pretzel inside a circle. So what you're gonna do is take each edge of the pretzel, pull the pretzel over the circle, and then bring the circle out. And then on this side, the same thing, pretzel over circle, and then bring the circle out. And then you're just gonna pull up slowly. This part takes a little adjusting. You have to use your fingers to kind of make sure the barrel is nice and tight against the mason jar. Awesome, and there we go. We got our hanging mason jar barrel sling. So we're gonna place it on a hook here. And there you go. I love this, and honestly, it's gonna try to come up a little bit, but just make sure to pull it down and make sure it's tight. So I love this because if you have a desk, if you just have a little space, if you wanna make it super long and hang it from your ceiling, it's really nice and really easy. And as you can see, it may take a couple tries, but it only takes like 2 minutes. So that is my first macrame plant hanger for you guys. Now, let's move on to the second one, because that was too easy for you guys. I think you can do a little more, so let me get my next one. Okay, so this is the fun part. We're gonna get our hands dirty a little bit. So for this macrame plant hanger, what we're gonna put inside is a succulent arrangement. Now what I'm gonna do is put soil in this pot and then arrange my succulents really nicely inside to make a cute little plant. So I just wanna say a quick word about these. Everyone has succulents, right? You see them, at the gas station, in your neighbor's yard, in your yard, and they're so great because they actually propagate quite easily. You can easily basically create more. So essentially I found these literally on a road trip laying on the side of the road. I found like 5 of these and they were just cut off. I didn't pick them from anywhere. I literally just found them and I stuck them in water, and they can last forever just sitting in water here. I've literally had these for probably all of quarantine. It's probably been 6 months, and the roots get so gnarly and fun, and they're just cool because they're honestly like little pets that you can have and watch grow. So the awesome thing about these is you can leave them in water, or like I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna plant them and they'll do a lot better in soil, and they'll grow even bigger. So that's what we're doing. So I'm just gonna get right in here and fill my pot up with soil. And I am grabbing some water because since they are living in water now, we need to make sure the soil is nice and wet. So I'm going to use my handy dandy water squirter here to moisten the soil. Now, this might take a while, so you can totally put it under your faucet or something faster, but all right, looks like there's water coming out of the bottom. I think that's enough. So pretty easy. Okay, so it's pretty simple. I'm just gonna put a hole in the center with my finger and then pull all of these out. Oh, look at those roots, they're so cool. And then just stick them in here. Create a nice little bouquet. Cute little succulent bouquet, and stick them in here. You can add a little more soil. And if you have more time, you can get really detailed and make it look a lot prettier than I am right now, but I like it. I think it looks cute. Okay. So there we go. Here's our succulent arrangement. Now let's get to making the macrame hanger. Okay, so here I have cut 4 strings that are each 7.5 feet long. The reason why they need to be so long is because we're doubling them. So I'm threading them through my ring here and then just making sure they are even at both ends. So macrame is so fun because it's so artistic, and you can literally, like I've done here, just play around with different knots. All macrame is just a series of knots. So there's a million different kinds. So I'm just gonna show you a couple today that are my favorite, but just rest assured that you can look online and find way more complicated ones and lots of more variety. So I am going to show you a gathering knot. So this is the knot that we're going to use at the top. So I've just cut a couple feet long string, and this is just going to make it look nice and clean at the top here. So basically what I'm going to do is create a J with my string and place it right at the top here. So I've created a J, And I'm just going to place it here and just wrap it multiple times, as tight as you can. I usually wrap it like, I don't know, 8 or 10 times. Okay, that looks good. So now when I bring it around on the final wrapping, I'm going to bring it through this hole here, through the hole, and then I pull this little tail that I left out on the top. So pull this as tight as you can. Oops. Pull this as tight as you can. And then just pull kind of both ends at the same time. And then you'll feel that you have a nice taut knot there. So just cut off the excess. And there you go. Beautiful. We have a nice gathering knot at the top there. So let's get started into the actual hanging part. So we're going to take our tape measure. And this is honestly up to you. Some people have really tall ceilings and you may want it to hang down really far, so you may want your string to be a lot longer, or you may just want to hang it really short. So this is kind of like a medium size. So depending on how long you want it to be, it will tell you how long you should measure down. So I'm going to measure down about 1.5 feet here, and that's where I'm going to start my knots. Okay, and what I'm going to do is separate them into twos. So we want 4 groups of twos, like that. Perfect. See, my plant's helping me out. He's like holding it for me. Okay, so I measure down, and now I don't know where I measured. Where's my Sharpie? All right, so honestly, it really doesn't matter. It can be anything you want it to be. But I just like marking it because I'm such a visual person, and Okay, and this one is super simple. This is our simple knot macrame. So what we're gonna do is here where we've marked, literally, make sure you can see, literally just make a knot. Not a square knot, literally just a knot like this. And then I'm gonna, oops. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat that on all of them. Just gonna get down here just because it's easier. And honestly, this is a super fun project if you're just like bored and in front of the TV and just wanna chill, and instead of like knitting or something, I literally do this all the time when I'm watching TV, and it's so fun. Oops. And sometimes your knots are going to be a little uneven, and so just slide it up a little bit. Okay, so that is our first round of knots, like that. Super easy. Now, for the next part, we are just going to take each inner part of the macrame and then knot them together so it'll create kind of like a basket. So I'm gonna get down here again. So I'm gonna measure down about 3 inches, I would say. I'm just gonna eye it, but I'm going to make a knot here. That's what I love about macrame is it's so creative. You can honestly take so many liberties and just do whatever your heart desires. Okay, see, got that nice pattern there. And I have 2 more to do, almost done. I love this one because it's so simple and it takes so little time. All right, so we got our 3, and then I'm going to do 1 more to round it out. Okay, cool. So, just gonna show you here. Now we have a nice little netting of macrame. So we are going to create a gathering knot at the bottom here so that the plant has a place to rest. Yay! Okay, so since this is the plant I'm gonna use, it honestly really helps to measure it out with the plant you're gonna use, because otherwise it can get really just, you won't do it right sometimes, so. Let's see. Okay, well, this is the hard part with macrame, because it's like there's so many different types of pots and like pot sizes. It's so easy, but finding like the right sizing. Okay, so that's perfect. So I'm just gonna hold it here, know that that's where I want my gathering knot to be, and then I'm gonna let this guy go. Okay, so about right here is where I want it. So now I'm gonna mark here and cut another string for another gathering knot. Okay, so now I'm just gonna do the same thing as I did before with the J, and then come down here to show you. So I have a little tail hanging out at the top, and just wrap however many times you want. Awesome, and then on the last one, bring it through the loop and pull the top tail. Oops. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to cut off the excess. Cool. Okay, awesome. So all I have left to do is put my plant in and admire it. All right, and there we go. We got our second hanging plant hanger made out of macrame. And sometimes I like to braid this bottom part. You can honestly do whatever you want. Like I said, there's so many creative ways that you can express yourself with macrame, but I love it. I love hanging them from my ceilings and creating like an urban jungle in my apartment. So do what you will, but that's number 2. Now let's move on to the last and final one, which is kind of the harder one of the series, but I promise it's not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so now it is time for macrame number 3. I have got my trusty strings here. I have, oh, actually this one's extra. Okay. I have 6 strings that are 10 feet long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So kind of a longer, bigger project. So just like the last one, we're going to thread our strings through the wooden ring here. And make sure they are even at the bottom. They don't have to be exactly even, but just, you don't want them to be totally off. Okay. So now I showed you the gathering knot for the second one. Now for this, I'm going to show you how to start your macrame off like this, basically with a series of square knots. It looks really nice. It also looks clean and really creative. So to do this, we are only going to be making knots with the outer 2 strings. So let me show you what a square knot is. So this will be great because this is the basis for our whole project, is square knots. So it's kind of similar to if you were ever younger and did like lanyards or like those friendship bracelets where they were like the plastic strings and you had to kind of crisscross them and pull them together. That's what this is. So it's super easy. So the first step is to take your string in your left hand and create a 4. See how it's a 4? Triangle on the left. And you take your string on the right, cross it over, and then underneath through the 4, pull it through and pull it tight. And this is 1/2 of your square knot. So a square knot's actually 2 put together. I'll show you. So then we do a reverse. So it's kind of like a B, a reverse 4. Cross these strings over this one, creating a T, and then put it under, and through like that. And then just pull it tight like that. All right, awesome. So this is a square knot. See, you can kind of see why it's called that because there's a square right here. So I'm just going to do a series of those and show you how you can be fun and creative with it. So, and honestly, I know it looks kind of intimidating, but it's really not. It's super easy and it just takes a couple times of practice. Now sometimes when you're doing this, you're gonna be like, oh no, I forgot like which side I was on. And so if you did forget like which side to start with, this little notch here will show you which side to start on. So if the notch is on the left side, then you need to do a knot starting with the left string. So create a 4, under, over, and then see the next one, the knot's on the right side. So now I do a knot starting from the right. I'll show you one more time. Take the right strings, create a B, left strings, cross over, create a T, under and through, and then slowly tighten up that knot. Now what's fun about this is you can really be creative with it. You can leave a big space and then start it again. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna leave a space just because I think it creates kind of a fun effect. And I'm gonna continue to do square knots at the bottom. So leave a space, show you what I mean. See, I'm gonna leave that, and that's just gonna stay like that. I think it looks awesome. All right, and just keep going. I'd say do 3 or 4 square knots here. And if you try and it's, you keep messing up, trust me, I have tried many times and messed up many times, so don't get discouraged. It's just a matter of making knots, that's all it is. Just making knots. All right, see, I just like how that looks because it just kind of breaks it up rather than it being square knots the whole time. So now I'm gonna leave one more space and then I'm going to do a few more square knots. And then we'll get on to the plant hanger part. So, there we go. I don't know what you guys have been doing during quarantine, but this has been one of my main quarantine hobbies. And I'm happy to say that my apartment is now kind of like my dream. It's an urban jungle. I have plants hanging everywhere, and I literally had to stop myself from going to the nursery because I was buying so many plants. And I started off with quarantine with like only a few, and now I have like over 30. So it's kind of a problem, but it's a good problem to have. All right, beautiful. Now I think we are ready to move on to the actual plant hanger part. So today I'm hoping to put my neon pothos into this plant hanger. So let's see if we can do that. So essentially it's going to be very similar to number 2. So we are going to group these up into groups of 4. So now I have my macrame strings divided into groups of 4 macrame strings each. So I have 3 groups of 4. We had 12 strings total, so we have 4, 4, 4. Okay, let's get started. So now I am going to just do square knots here. I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'll show you again. Keep the center 2 straight, make a 4, cross over, under, through, and pull tight. Then on the other side, cross over, under, through, pull through, and pull tight. As you can see, we have a nice square knot there. So I'm going to repeat those on my other groups of strings as well. So you want them to be even. So try to create the knots at the same point on all the strings. So, that looks right about there. And over, under. Oops, that one got kind of weird, so I'm just gonna undo it. That's the great thing about macrame, is that sometimes you'll be like, wow, that doesn't look right, and you can just undo it. It's super easy. So let's try that again. And also sometimes you just get in your head and think that it looks wrong even when it doesn't, but you just gotta go with the flow. Okay, great, so now we got those 2, and I'm gonna do my last one. So I'm gonna do the same thing, make 2 sets of square knots. And what's awesome about this is you can actually use other types of strings if you're thinking, oh, I want to try this, but I don't have macrame string. You can totally use jute, you can use twine, you can use hemp. I'm not sure for this particular pattern, but you can definitely make plant hangers using other string as well. So, all right, great. So, as you can see, now we have our 3 sets of square knots. It really doesn't matter how even they are, as long as they're about even, it's fine. Now we're going to continue to make the plant hanger by making more square knots in these inner cords here. So I'm gonna hop down there and make some more knots and I'll be right back. All right, so we are just going to continue to make square knots just like we did on the top. We're gonna make 2 sets of square knots, combining these 2 cord groupings together. And there we go. So as you can see, it creates a nice little netting and webbing here. So I'm gonna continue to do that on the other remaining cords. It's so funny how popular macrame has become. Like, it's literally everywhere. Every plant store I go into, they're selling them, and it's all over the Instagram and the internet. I mean, at least the accounts I follow because I'm a plant person, but I just love it. And this is a super easy, accessible way that you can do it yourself at home, and it's super affordable and really soothing and calming for these stressful times. So that's why I love it. Okay, great. So we got these 2. Now let's continue and do the last one here to create the closing of the circle. So we're gonna grab our middle 2 and do some square knots. All right, awesome. And we're almost there, guys. You are gonna be so happy with this plant hanger. You have to try this at home. Okay, so plant hanger is looking good. It's almost done. Now we have our kind of netting. We just need to create a knot at the bottom to kind of hold it together to stop the plant from falling through. So I think we just do a gathering knot like I taught you guys at the beginning, and then we'll be done. Well, then we'll put the plant in and then we'll be done. So grab my scissors. And cut about, let's say, 13 inches, 16 inches, just a long string. And let's see, it's kind of hard at this point. It would be helpful to measure your plant. Basically what you'd want to do is put your plant within the strings and then put a gathering knot right at the bottom. I'm just gonna try to eye it and hope it works out. So I do this at home. Usually I eye it, and then, you know, sometimes you need to adjust the gathering knot lower or higher, and it's just, you know, it's all part of it. So we'll see how I do. So to make that gathering knot, I'm going to make a J here. And I guess I'm gonna go that far down, about 6 inches down, and then put it here, and then wrap it around. It will be easier for you if you have it hanging on your door hanger or somewhere, so that way you can just like yank on it. All right. So now I am going to thread it through this little loop here and then pull my top tail. Ooh, it's so satisfying. All right, pull it nice and tight till you feel it really tighten up. All right, beautiful. Now I'm going to cut off this excess bit. Try not to cut myself. Okay, awesome. Now this is done. This is the plant hanger, this is it. Now let me just put the plant in and trim off this bottom bit. So, I'm going to be putting my neon pothos inside. So basically you're just gonna slide it in. Sometimes it takes a little finagling, but I'm gonna see if I can set it down here. It's hard with these pothos because you have to be really delicate because they're my babies and I'm like so sad if they lose a little branch, but just be patient. It takes a little bit to kind of find the right spot for the strings. All right, and that's it. We did it. So where it looks a little wonky, you literally just have to make sure your plant's peeking out. Just be really gentle because you don't want to break any of it off. But, oops, I got a little tangled up here. But this is something that if you have a lot of time at home, you know, it's super easy to do. And basically all these other branches, just pull them out. Like I said, the macrame hanger part's easy. The hard part is like kind of fitting the plant in and making sure that it fits. But I think this turned out amazing. I love my neon pothos. I am so happy with how it looks. And for this bottom bit here, basically you can either braid it or cut it off. I think I'm gonna cut it off because it just looks a little too long. But essentially, this is it. This is your macrame plant hanger. This is my go-to. This is the one that I always use. Definitely would recommend this one for your first one. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this macrame journey that we were on together, and make sure to stay tuned for more art at home. See you guys later. Stay safe and healthy.